I like to often think about myself as like a sonic scavenger, you know. Think about what I do as sonic scavenging, because I really love many different sorts of sounds. Some of them are, you know, maybe considered less musical sounds. Yeah, I'm also sort of like a collector of sounds. I have these huge libraries of sounds. I collect sounds all the time. It's part of my working process. Kind of like always jealous at artists that are like visual artists, like I don't know, well, even painters, you know, that you literally see the material on them, you know, when they take a lunch break, they go out of their studios and like they're full of paint, and like the material is something that is so physical, is so visceral, you know. And for me, this is it's like the most normative way of thinking about making art. It has to be to have this physical connection. So this is why the starting point is always with collection of materials, with doing a lot of recordings, with just, you know, feeling the material itself before I think about anything else, essentially. Everything is available to us all the time. Thinking about music particularly, it means that music that was written 80 years ago is as accessible and as analyzable to us as music that was written 8 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. And I think this really does something to a lot of artificial boundaries that we used to have as artists. You know, technology is one of the ways that help me sort of, you know, expand this territory, sometimes even maybe find a new territory for these instruments, to find my own understanding and my own ability to work with these instruments, take into consideration all the baggage and all the multi-layers that they carry. I really like low-tech things, or like using very high-tech and very low-tech things together. I really like this cultural friction. So oftentimes you'd have something like consumer electronics, something very, very basic, different sorts of objects that you play them in a very basic way, but then they, I don't know, somehow sound like a violin. Or like a violin doing something very, very specific. And then you get this sort of like a hybrid sound, this weird creature, you know, this chimeric creature that doesn't really fit together, but sounds maybe like something unified. In the initial stages of thinking about this piece, I just had this image of like this incessant flux of sound that is just constantly gushing. In this stream of sound, you have a variety of different sorts of small sounds, you know, a lot of these internal gargling, very physical sounds. And the performers, because they switch between their instruments and a lot of sound sources, they're sort of like navigating this stream of sound, you know, with their hands, kind of almost like putting their hands on the cracks of the edifice, you know, just navigating the stream into different directions. sometimes we feel as people that we have to be this one thing, to do this one thing, you know, the thisness of something. This table has to function as a table. You know, this is a violin that needs to sound like a violin. And sometimes that I often try to do in my music, and this piece is really an attempt to expand that, is that a lot of the things don't sound like they're supposed to sound, you know? So they move in different directions.